Well, I got my start in York, Pennsylvania, and that's if you look over there, you'll see the old antennas for the radio station. Way back in the back, you'll see a long wire antenna. It's me sitting in my little studio with my first set of racks. Here's Susquehanna Broadcasting Company in York, their first building. That's a TV station, Channel 43, which was Susquehanna's. That's Gulfstream Recording Company, where I first started doing some work. Built Radio London, Galaxy Radio, pirate ships off the coast of England. And first radio station was WMJR in Fort Lauderdale on Sunrise Boulevard. That's the production room. It's the main control room. There's a BC7 console coming up, and RT7 cart machines, and more of the BC7. There's my little shop I had there. There's a round building at the corner of Oakland Park Boulevard and Route 1. It's called the Ken Ann Building, and we put a tower right on the top of that in the front. You'll see it there on the top. Chateau Madrid was located in there as well. There's our rack system with all of our CBS equipment. There's the tower as it was going to go up on top of the building. There's Joe Amaturo, who was my partner in the radio tower business. This is Charlie Plunkett up in Washington, D.C. Charlie was a good kid. We liked working with him. We're putting WQMR and WGAY up. This is WQMR at Sligo Creek Golf Course. This is on top of the World Building with a vertical and horizontal antenna. There's the WGAY Master Control Room. That's a WQMR studio on Sligo Creek Golf Course. That's the equipment I built for WGAY for the remote control equipment. It's the FBI equipment, if you can believe that, in the Ken Ann Building in Fort Lauderdale. There's our new BTF-20E transmitter. Oh my goodness, what a great transmitter. Here's the Candelabra Tower, the first tower I owned. That's our studio transmission equipment at the Ken Ann Building. That's Edmund Badish up in Virginia. That's our radio station in Fort Pierce, Florida, WFTP. We built that building. Nice building. That's the way it looks now. Not quite as nice as it did before. This is 1087 Beneva Tower, and we had some radio stations at that little building. And there's the tower fully loaded, 1087 Beneva in Sarasota. It's the base of the tower. Another good look at the 1087 Beneva Tower project. I don't know who that is, but we were doing a remote broadcast from somewhere. And this is a little studio I had in one of my apartments, and that's Ray. And we were running about 5 radio stations out of that little studio. Dan's Bake Sale, Remnants 1993. This is Dennis at KRCN in Denver, a production guy. That is Diane, my administrative assistant. It's Marty in Gunnison, Colorado, at the radio station there. Pierre Wolf and myself, we did a lot of broadcasts and traveled all over the world. Our tower in Sarasota was at Palm Grove Mennonite Church, and that was my partner, Bob Weeks, in Sarasota. A wonderful guy. This is more of the little studio I had in one of the condos that we own. This is WXLW in Indianapolis in their old transmitter building. Another shot of Ray at the little studio we had in the condo building. Check these old transmitters out. Believe it or not, those were working at one time in Buena Vista. This is 1330, our station in Colorado. This is the old 250-watt transmitter on the left. Here we are in Cuba, Hemingway Marina, 1993. And there's Chuck Clifton. That's Buena Vista transmitter building. And here's the beginning of KRCN, the new 50-kilowatt transmitter plant. This is when we started building a lot of towers, the big tall towers. This is the Jacksonville tower site, 1,049-foot tower we built for Metroplex. That tower is in Charlotte. That's a 2,000-foot tower. Ed Dakarak. Ed is a Catholic Radio in Stewart. And this is Ernie. He's a big guy in radio these days. Symphony is our gal works with us. These are the guys at Gab. Ran the Gab studio. There's the Gab studio in Vero Beach before we sold it. Here's Christmas at Gab. It's Molly putting up a tree. And there's a rack system and operating system for Gab. That's Jimmy, probably one of the better guys we had working for us. Terrific guy. It's our little bar we had in our and get in the Gab Studios. Another good shot of the studio as you walk through the main door to come into it. Here's KVLE in Gunnison. We built a big tower there. I'm up on the tower, actually, right here. There's Travis Coggin working on the Vale radio station. Here's a tower that we knocked down up in Canada when we bought the 50 kilowatt transmitter. We put that transmitter in this building, and this is the site. Here's the base of that tower going up. That's a monopole tower we use for the AM station. Travis is inside one of the cylinders. It's a KRCN in Denver and Longmont, rather. That's a transmitter building at KRCN with a 50 kilowatt ampliphase. That was the Gab Studios in Colorado, the original Gab Studios. Travis at the board. And it's a gal that worked with us, and she was cleaning out the dummy load. That's a 50 kilowatt dummy load. As George Baxkist, George is the guy that operates the tower now, the big new tower, the tower you see on the left. This was a slant-fed tower, and we fed it from this little area right here. WSBA New York TV, Channel 43, first TV job I had. Here's the 50 kilowatt transmitter in Longmont. This is a tower that was finished. There's a transmitter room when it got finished. Another shot of the AMFET 50. Good transmitter. Very good transmitter. That's the control board setup that we had at the tower site. Here they're lifting up the second section of the tower. That's KRCN's Master Control Studios that we built in 2005. Another shot of the KRCN studios. Did some work for KSCO out in California. And that's, I should know who that is. That's Laura Ingram there for sure. And that's Les Haber. Here we're doing a remote on 4th of July in Longmont, Colorado. It's another remote Pierre and I are doing somewhere. We did them all over the place. This is a stellar tower that we used. We used a lot of stellar towers. Here's Ron Nickel. A couple of pictures you're going to see of Ron Nickel. And Ron Nickel's girls, plenty of girls in his life. There's another shot of Ron and his girls. Wherever there was Ron, there were plenty of girls. Here we are at the Brown Palace Hotel doing a remote in Denver. Here we're doing a remote. Not sure. Oh, this is in Ireland. This is a beautiful girl in Ireland we did a remote with. Here I built a studio for a liberal radio station in Texas. This gentleman here is no longer with us. He did America at Night. This is the studios we had in Las Vegas for America at Night. And I still am not having trouble with that guy's name. Of course, this is Ray Lucia on the left. And Nickel again at the Brown Palace Hotel. Here we are down in Colorado Springs with Les Haber and Ray Lucia and myself when Ray was here in Vero Beach. I was hanging out with Nickel too much and got into the racing for a little bit. Here's Dr. Gene Hood on the left, myself in the center, and his son Randy. Here's Gene Hood, as always, out doing something at the WXLW studios. That was our first control room at KRCN in Denver. Pierre on the left, Crider in the middle, Roy on the right, Pierre and myself doing another remote somewhere. Here we are again back in Las Vegas at our studio in Las Vegas. Symphony was the gal who did a lot of work for us. Here's a studio in Vero Beach, the GAE studio that we have set up just to kind of mess around with at our condo here in Vero. Nice little setup, about 7 racks worth of equipment. And here's a picture of some of the old consoles that we worked on. This was a Western Electric. There's a Gates limiting amplifier, Gates stay level. Boy, oh boy, those were the mainstay for a long time. Deluxe dual audio console, 1 kilowatt Gates AM transmitter. Here's a BC10F transmitter, BC10C. Gates Yard console. Another Gates console, a little bit newer version. That's kind of the one we had. There's the AMFET 50 we put on the Pirate radio station. Schaefer Automation System. I was the sales manager of Schaefer for a year. RCA 77DX, good mic, loved it. We used a lot of those. 44BX, another fine mic. Ribbon microphone. It's the first tape recorder I ever owned, the Ampex 600 and 620 speaker. CBS, Automaxes, and Volumaxes were the mainstay of processing. Then they got a little skinnier, and then they just stopped doing it. There's an Ampex 440 reel-to-reel tape machine, a Scully 280 reel-to-reel tape machine, and an Ampex 350 tape machine, and another audio console, another Gates audio console. And there's another Gates limiting amplifier, back to the Gates 1 kilowatt transmitter with 833s in it, and the 50 kilowatt transmitter that we put on the pirate radio stations. Oh, the RT7 RCA cart machines. Terrible machines. Schaefer 800 automation system in Fort Lauderdale. It's another shot of a Schaefer 800 automation system. Another shot of the stay level. And there we're back to the Western Electric console. Fabulous old console. It's another